I want to slap you so hard right now, not out of anger, but because of the overwhelming emotions inside me that I don't know how else to express. Sometimes, the only way to deal with the intensity is through a release of emotion, even if it is just a fleeting thought. I want to slap you really hard right now, but not in the way you're probably thinking. It's not because of hate or frustration. It's because you're pushing me to the edge, testing the very limits of my patience and my sanity, and I'm trying to hold back, but it's hard. I want to slap you really hard right now, not as a punishment, but as a way to wake you up, to make you realize the pain you're causing, the silence, the misunderstandings. Sometimes the only way to get someone's attention is to do something drastic. I want to slap you really hard right now because every ounce of me is screaming to do something, anything, to make the storm inside me stop. It's a rush of frustration, confusion, and desperation, all wrapped up in one emotion. It feels like I'm on the brink of losing control. I want to slap you really hard right now because the way you ignore me, the way you dismiss my feelings, is slowly turning me into something I don't want to be. It's making me question my worth and my place in this world, and that thought alone is infuriating. I want to slap you really hard right now because the thoughts in my mind are like a whirlwind, and I can't seem to slow it down. It's like every word you say or action you take adds more fuel to the fire. I want to scream, I want to cry, but what comes out is pure frustration. I want to slap you really hard right now because sometimes words aren't enough. Sometimes the only way to make someone understand the depth of your feelings is through an action that shakes them to their core. But I'm fighting that urge, holding on to what little restraint I have left. I want to slap you really hard right now because I feel as though you're toying with my emotions. You make me feel like I'm walking a tightrope, trying to balance everything while you remain blissfully unaware of the chaos you're causing. I want to slap you really hard right now, but I know that violence won't solve anything. Still, the urge lingers, born from a place of frustration, of wanting to break free from the mental shackles you've placed around my mind. I want to slap you really hard right now, but it's not about physical pain. It's about the emotional weight that I'm carrying, the weight of unspoken words, of feelings left unsaid, of truths that are never acknowledged. I want to slap you really hard right now because it feels like you've been taking advantage of my kindness, using my patience as a way to get your way without ever considering how I feel. That imbalance makes my blood boil. I want to slap you really hard right now because of the way you've treated me, like I'm invisible, like my thoughts and feelings don't matter. It's not about anger, it's about being heard and acknowledged. I want to slap you really hard right now, but it's not the slap that I crave. It's the release of all the pent up energy inside me, the thoughts that swirl around in my head, begging for an outlet. I feel suffocated by everything I haven't said. I want to slap you really hard right now, but I know that no physical action could ever match the intensity of the emotional damage you've done. It's the internal scars that hurt the most, and no amount of violence will fix that. I want to slap you really hard right now because I am exhausted. Exhausted from pretending that everything is fine when inside I feel like I'm about to explode. My emotions are in turmoil, and I don't know how to make it stop. I want to slap you really hard right now because you've made me feel insignificant, like my needs, desires, and feelings don't matter. It's like I'm invisible and it's eating me up inside. I can't keep pretending that everything is okay when it's not. I want to slap you really hard right now because your actions have left me in a state of confusion and doubt. The emotional roller coaster you've put me on has made it hard for me to trust anything or anyone, and the frustration is overwhelming. I want to slap you really hard right now, not to hurt you, but to wake you up from your own ignorance, to make you realize the consequences of your actions, to show you that what you're doing is having a much deeper impact than you think. I want to slap you really hard right now because I feel trapped by my own emotions. There's this constant tug of war in my heart, where one side wants to lash out and the other side wants to find peace. But right now, peace feels so far out of reach. I want to slap you really hard right now because every time I try to communicate, every time I try to express myself, you shut me down. And that silence, that rejection, it cuts deeper than anything you could say.